Question 1.1. Complete the graph in figure 1 using the information below. So it's the estimated world urban population. So the amount of people around the world that live in towns and cities. You'll get 1 mark for each one done correctly. So 2025, you have to draw a line from where it is currently going across to here, which is 4.8, and then not quite steeper line going up to 5 billion in 2030. Question 1.2, how many people lived in towns and cities in 2000? So again, use the graph, you'll go up this line. When it hits the line, you'll then go across, and the answer is 2.8 billion. Be careful, if you don't write billion, you don't get the mark. Question 1.3 suggests why an increasing number of megacities are located in LICs or NEEs. So basically, why are there lots of huge cities in poorer countries? So basically, what is attracting people to them? A key term that would be great to use would be rural-urban migration. This is people moving from the countryside to the city. And why are they doing that? Well, it's for a greater variety of jobs, generally better paid jobs than the countryside. There is more schools there, more higher education as well, colleges, universities in the city than the countryside. The health service is better, there's more doctor surgeries and hospitals. Or it could be push factors, bad things about where they currently are. So there could have been a natural disaster like a drought or a flood that forces them out of the rural areas into the towns and cities. Question 1.4. Give the full figure grid reference for the Scottish Exhibition and Conference Centre on the north bank of the River Clyde. So we'll look at the map that we've got. First of all, we've got to locate it. So we've got the River Clyde, and then we've got the Conference Centre, which is this one here, where you've got the star. Right. We're basically trying to find the grid reference for the grid square that it is in. Now, it's quite tricky because these grid lines are going to be very thin. Now, you can just about see you've got the square here and here where this conference centre is in. So, remember, the rule of thumb to give the grid reference is always the bottom left-hand corner of the square, and you've got to go along the bottom first. So, the number for this point is 56, and then you'll go across is 65. So 56, 65. Question 1.5. What is the straight line distance to the nearest kilometre from Ibrox Stadium to Kelvin Hall? Shade one circle in only, and you've got a few options. Again, you've got to find them on the map. We've got Ibrox Stadium down here, and you've got Kelvin Hall here. So when you're looking at distance, the scale is very important. This one says quite small, 4 centimetres is 1 kilometre. So all you've got to do is get out a ruler, you'll measure Ibrox Stadium to the Hall, and the answer is 8 centimetres, which is 2 kilometres. So you'll be shading in that circle for A. 1.6. Using map evidence suggests how an express bus service on the A814 would reduce traffic congestion in Glasgow city centre. So key thing, it says using map evidence, so we've got to, but basically it's saying how can a very quick and direct bus service help reduce with traffic jams. So if we go to the map, we'll find the road. Here it is, the A814. It's the big purple road from the north going all the way into Glasgow city centre. So if there was a fast and direct bus service on this road, we've got to use map evidence. So let's find some place names. We've got Cranston Hill and Anderston here. So we can say in these areas, it'll be a quicker way to get into the city centre. Also, if people go on the bus, then it's easier to get to the city centre in the sense you don't need to pay and look for parking if you're going to take your car, and ultimately it's going to be cheaper as well. Using Figure 3 and your own knowledge, explain how urban regeneration projects can reduce levels of urban deprivation. So, urban regeneration project, this is an example where an area has been improve. Now, we could, I guess, use the Lace Market in Nottingham, that is our urban regeneration case study, but also the Dharavi slum in Mumbai connects well with the idea of poor people living in a city and how an area has been improved to make their lives better. So, to make sure you get 5 or 6 out of 6, you've got to use figure 3 and our own case studies. So, figure 3 is a bit of text about an action plan taking place in Scotland. So what they are doing is they are developing a few new hospitals, loads of new homes, restoring old buildings and developing a museum, improving shopping and clearing unused land. So all you've got to do is use the phrase which means that, think logically about how these things will improve the lives of people in that area. So a lot of your answers should go down the route of either attracting businesses or getting lots of new jobs being created, which means that people have more money for themselves, more disposable income, which means that the local area can get more tax to spend on further improvements. In the Lace Market, there's been lots of investment in leisure. So, for instance, in 2000, the Ice Arena was opened, and you can develop that point into the social benefit for people. Or, for instance, the National Video Game Arcade, £2.5 million was spent on that to boost tourism in the area, but also helping people that have a creative background develop their skills. Or the Dharavi slum. You can even look at things like the fact that the slum, people that have lived there now have the opportunity to live in high-rise blocks. These new homes in this apartment block basically just have all the essentials that you would require to live a healthy lifestyle. They've got plumbing, they've got running water, they've got far better sanitation. So any of these ideas plus figure 3 would be required for 6 marks. Using figure 4 and your own knowledge, discuss how the features of the greenhouse development will make for more sustainable urban living. So, sustainable urban living, basically, how can you live in towns and cities that's going to be good for not just now, but the future as well? So that could be people are going to benefit in the long run. It's not going to cost a lot of money in the future. It's going to be really good for nature and the environment in the future as well. We've got to use the figure and our own knowledge. Now, our case study is the Hockerton development, which is just outside of Nottingham. So we can say things like they create their own energy using 2 solar panels and a couple of wind turbines. So they're using renewable energy to create electricity, which means that we don't have to burn fossil fuels, which gives off air pollution and contributes to global warming. You could say that in Hockerton, these homes are covered with earth, which means they blend in with the environment and will last that way for a long time. Or they collect, a lot of the water that they use is collected from the rain. This is called rainwater harvesting. Now, we can explain all those points, but please ensure that you also use the figure. So the figure is the greenhouse development from Leeds. A bit about it. You've got an image as well, and then a few bullet points to explain what it does. So again, you've just got to pick a few of these and just develop your points, linking it crucially to the future as well. So for instance, you could say car sharing scheme is really good because people share cars, there's less cars on the road, less congestion. So not only do people get to work probably quicker because the roads will be quieter, again, the idea of reducing fuel, link that to global warming, that'll be a really good point. Local shops and cafes, if they are employing local people, there's more money in the area, the local government gets more tax, which can go towards improving other things. Or you've got something called the multiplier effect. So if money is spent in the local area, these local shops and cafes will also have to get their goods from other local places. So basically, loads of people are getting an improved wealth in the local area. Or finally, go down the idea that people's lives will be improved because they are healthier. Anything to do with maybe a sports centre with a swimming pool encourages a healthy lifestyle. as well as the fact that a lot of people will grow their own fruit and vegetables. If people are healthy, they're not going to be seeking medical advice or being in hospital for a range of different things, which again saves money, not just now, but in the future as well. 1.9. Evaluate the effectiveness of an urban planning strategy in helping to improve the quality of life for the urban poor. Use an example of a city in an LIC or NEE. So, 9 marker, +3 for spelling, punctuation and grammar. So, what this question is basically asking is, how good is a project that is trying to help the lives of poor people who live in a city? Now, we've got to use an example. So the first thing you do before you even attempt the question is maybe write down the case study that you are going to use. So what we have looked at is the Dharavi slum in Mumbai. So basically, how good is that redevelopment project? The advantages, again, for a case study question, you're going to have to put in some specific evidence. So you could say the project means that 72,000 families would be rehomed from the Dharavi slum into these high-rise tower blocks. These homes are going to be more sanitary, going to be plumbing, running water, sewage pipes, going towards the tower block. Also, the infrastructure, the roads are going to improve, which might allow businesses to locate near the tower block. And you can explain using the phrase, which means that if people get more jobs, get more money, so they can spend it on themselves and their family, it'll be more tax for the local area as well. However, to get 7 or higher, when it asks you to evaluate the effectiveness, you've got to balance your answer. So, yes, there are some really good things, but also there are some negatives. If you've not lived in the Dharavi slum since 1995, you won't be rehoused. So that complicates the advantages of this, because where are these people going to go? Also, an apartment in a tower block is still small, around about 21 metres squared. And the big thing about the slum, the biggest advantage, is the community spirit that these people have fostered over years and years. There's no guarantee that you will be living now in a new apartment block next to anyone else from your Dharavi community. So the community aspect and the slum culture will disappear. Remember, 9 marker, you've got to include a few facts, you've got to develop your points, and ultimately you've got to say how good it is to evaluate the effectiveness. The best answers will be yes, okay, they're good for some things, particularly maybe for social reasons, because quality of life will improve because there is running water, etc. But there are also negatives as well.